Hi, everybody. This is Drew Tomlin with the Association for Middle Level Education, and today we are joined on this hangout by three wonderful people: Sarah Hartman, Sarah Luthy, and Stephanie Snyder. Sorry. Sarah Hartman is a former middle school teacher, an assistant professor in the Department of Teacher Education at Ohio University, and the president of the Ohio Valley Museum of Discovery. Sarah Luthy is an 8th grade math teacher at Trimble Middle School in rural Gloucester, Ohio. She's serving her second year as an associate representative for the southeastern region of the Ohio Middle Level Association. And Stephanie Snyder is an 8th grade language arts teacher and she also leads reading interventions at Trimble Middle School in Gloucester, Ohio as well. And she too is an associate representative for the southeastern region of the Ohio Middle Level Association. So I guess first of all, we should start off by saying OH.
IO.
There you go. You gotta do that. I've learned that here. That's for sure.
I represent Ohio University.
Oh, sorry. Well, I meant the whole state. The whole state. Yeah. So not only are they representing Ohio, but they're representing and talking about their article that they've written here in AMLE magazine this morning. They're talking about overcoming obstacles in rural middle schools. And as they say in the byline, the middle school concept can work in a rural middle school. It just may look different. So we're going to talk a little bit further. It's a really critical topic and a conversation that's growing, I think, throughout the country. So we appreciate you adding to that dialogue. We're going to just start right off the questions if you all are ready. You all ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So why is it so critical for us to focus on rural schools? And why is there a particular urgency now?
I think that rural schools are extremely important. First of all, about 25% of America's children are living in rural schools, or living in rural areas and being educated in rural schools. So that really brings the need to look at this population to the forefront. Unfortunately, traditionally, there hasn't been a lot of research that's been done in rural areas. But I think there is a push to do more research so that we know more about what's happening to those 25% of children.
Excellent. Yeah, so there are obviously passionate and compassionate reasons we have, but the numerical reasons as well, at 25%. Gosh, that is a large percentage. So what do you think what's a major misconception that people have about rural schools? And what's the real story from your perspective and experience, both working in a rural school as well as researching about it?
Well, I think one of the main misconceptions is that there is no funding in rural schools, that money is tight, and it is tight, but we have creative ways that we can get funding that we need. Sometimes it's pursuing those grants, but we also, in rural areas, you tend to be close-knit. So here at Trimble, we actually have a textbook foundation put together by former alumni who have actually raised over $500,000 since their start.
Wow.
Buying us textbooks, supplies, technology, all sorts of things. So I think the community can really wrap around their schools and help do exist.
To add to that, I think a big misconception is that things aren't happening, that maybe schools that are in isolated areas are sort of stuck in the muck. And that's definitely a misconception. Great things are happening. We were talking this morning about transformations in rural schools, and I think a lot of it is that those communal ties, but big things are happening. So we need to make people aware of that and really dig in and look at that more closely.
Teachers and administrators in rural schools are knowledgeable, and they are making great decisions that are research-based and really meet the needs of children and to prepare 21st century learners. And I think that people in non-rural settings really need to understand that.
Excellent. So the misconceptions and the misconceptions that there's a lack of funding and that the schools are stuck in the muck, as you said, and that the teachers may not have the knowledge that they need to serve the students. Those are all, as you said, myths and things that we need to get the word out about, that there are creative ways and creative solutions, especially that textbook foundation was really a great example that, you're not in a bind, literally, about books.
Well, they reach out directly to the teachers and say, what can we do to help you? Where are there areas where things are going to best serve the students? And I think that close-knit relationship is what really makes that work, work. So
I want it to be I don't want it to be left that rural schools aren't underfunded.
Right.
They absolutely are underfunded, but the teachers, the families, the communities do find creative ways to deal with that. But that doesn't mean it's enough. Rural schools absolutely are underfunded.
Right, right. Yeah, like you said, that it's that community support, the whole community rallying around. So thank you for clarifying that and shining a light on that. So in your article, in addition to kind of changing the narrative or the story about rural schools, you mentioned several solutions to help rural schools handle their specific and unique challenges. So I know it's difficult to boil it down to one, but is there one solution in particular that's an absolute kind of must-have and must-do to help a rural school serve its students and communities? And I don't use air quotes lightly. Just
Well, I know we were speaking after school, Sarah and I, about just units of instruction that engage the kids, that meet the kids where they are. And I think that's what drives the middle school concept and the middle school movement is staying true to this, we believe, staying true to that idea of teaming and making things engaging across the curriculum for our students, because we know that relationships are first. And in order to form that engaging level of instruction, you have to have that trust in that relationship. And so we spoke a lot about just the teaming that we've done and amping that up in our building because, you know, it's a close community, and I think we can certainly wrap around our kids. So.
Yeah, it's important to have that team in place so that we're close-knit, so that goes out to our students, and there's that support around our students so that they can see that they can succeed, even if we do have some of these challenges being in a rural area.
How do you, if you don't mind, so if you have your team approach and everything like that, let's say you have a new team member come on board, a new teacher or someone who's just new to your rural setting, how do you orient them to, hey, this is what we're all about and this is what it's like to teach in a rural setting? How do you get them on board?
Well, just a couple of years ago, Stephanie was new to the school, and one of the first things I did was, let's take a tour.
Yeah, we drove around in Sarah's Jeep and we went into the hills and hollers and ate lunch at a local restaurant and just got the lay of the land. And I think, you know, when you boil it all down, young adolescents are young adolescents, no matter where you are. And so it's just understanding the unique dynamic. And I think wrapping your head around some of the dichotomy between home expectations and school expectations, especially looking at rural communities, sometimes where, you know, things can be very different between the two, and trying to meet the kids where they are with that engagement piece, with instruction and with the teaming that really resonates with the culture and the community where you are. So. Excellent.
Gosh, what a powerful experiential learning opportunity, you know, like you said, to get the lay of the land, you know? I mean, because
husband, I am so excited to work with these people. They drove me around in a Jeep. It was great. So.
Well, because, you know, like you said, geography shouldn't matter in a sense, because you said young adolescents are all young adolescents, regardless of geography. But geography and culture are important and are really valid parts of kids' lives. So I think it's great you guys recognize that and literally get behind the wheel and check it out. So for another stakeholder involved in this conversation, what can middle-level administrators in rural schools do to help grow and support the exemplary work that you're doing with teaching and learning with young adolescents? What can they do?
Well, one of the most important things that they can do is to really support quality professional development for their teachers. Research shows that teachers in rural areas tend to have less access to professional development opportunities. So really making those professional development opportunities a priority is something that is really important for middle-level administrators to do. The other thing is to really try to support and mentor their new teachers. Retention in rural areas can also be a challenge. And so finding ways to mentor and support those new teachers becomes really important for sustaining what's happening in rural schools.
Excellent, excellent. So that access to good professional development and then that mentoring and support. So I can't agree with you more. So you all are clearly an advanced group. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you a deep and advanced metaphorical question about rural schools. So are you all ready for this challenge?
We hope so.
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome,
Right.
awesome. So here you go. So if working in a rural school was like a food,
Okay.
what kind of food would it be and why?
So we thought about this a little bit because I know, Drew, this is a big one you like to throw out during those Twitters. And so, you know, depending on the culture we're talking about, people throw out all kinds of things: food trucks, jambalaya, you know, comfort food. We're going to go with the comfort food theme. We're going to go with something that's uniquely Appalachian, and we're gonna throw out the chicken and dumplings. I think if you make it from scratch, we're not talking about the biscuits you pop out of the pan.
Right.
But if you are making those dumplings from scratch, I think there's a lot of time and energy and finesse that has to go in. A little bit of elbow grease, and then as you start adding your spices and your veggies and get that broth cooking, I think you end up with something fantastic after all that hard work. And certainly for us working in this region, working in a rural school is absolutely fulfilling. It gives you that great warm feeling that you would get after a large plate of chicken and dumplings. And so that's what we're going to go with.
Excellent. I mean, that was perfect. And what I liked is when I asked that question, I wasn't sure if each of you was going to have, you know, her own answer to that. So it's nice that all three cooks in the kitchen, in the metaphorical kitchen, came up with an answer together. That's really cool. That you came up with the chicken and dumplings. And what also resonated with me, a couple things. One is that, gosh, it's not something you can just pop out of a can. It's something that you got to work with, you know, from scratch materials, and it takes hard work and takes some elbow grease. And then you also said that everybody
Might have.
you're not only serving it up, but you're also dining upon what you're creating as well, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the fulfillment piece. I think the warm, fulfilling part.
Yeah, that's it. The fulfillment part. Yeah, that you also feel nourished and from what you're creating as well, which of course is such an important part about teaching and learning, is that as, you know, pedagogical experts and teachers, we feel, you know, nourished and everything by what we're doing. So so good job. Well done.
Thank you.
Now I want to go out and get some chicken and dumplings. It's been a while, you know. I need to get
I'm down the glass.
Well, gosh, thank you all so much, Sarah, and Stephanie. Clearly, you all are, you know, a great team. You are excited about the kids that you serve in the rural community, and we thank you so much for adding this this information to this critical dialogue about rural schools and why it's important for us to focus on them in the middle level. So thank you so much for your time and effort.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you for letting us talk about something.
We'll see you here in a week and a half?
Week and a half.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. AMLE 2015. We'll see you in a little bit. So
All right.
Awesome. So thank you. And of course, thank you, AMLE magazine readers, for checking out this article and checking out this hangout with Sarah Hartman, Sarah Luthy, and Stephanie Snyder here at AMLE magazine. We help you reach every student, grow professionally, and create great schools. So thanks again. Thanks, guys.